Welcome to CK Sports Talk on 99.1 CKXS. CK Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Canada Business Services, the Chatham-Kent Sports Network, and 99.1 CKXS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to CK Sports Talk here on the Mighty XS. That's 99.1 on your radio dial. My name's Peter Cobb, and yes, folks, you know him as the wizard from Wallaceburg. Mr. Shawn Patrick Moynihan is sitting right across from me. Our producer, Mr. Corey North, will be heading south to Ridgetown, that is. I think he's doing some online shopping, Mr. Moynihan.
It's the Christmas season. Why not?
Yeah, it's, Cyber Monday or whatever they call it. We also have 12-time Volunteer of the Year, Mr. Chris Taylor, filming us tonight so that folks can... with your record, the RCMP, Interpol, they all know about you. They see that mug of yours and look out, eh?
Chris, not a good idea tonight. But anyways, Pete, what a great week in sports, really. And tonight we're having our hockey show where it's a great chance, great opportunity for you and I to banter a little bit about junior hockey. And, of course, we're going to finish up the night talking about pro hockey, which is off to a flying start. What do you think about Calgary today, Pete? They're singing the blues in Calgary.
Both the Dinos, who made it to the Vanier Cup at Laval squad. They are that's men playing with boys. You and I had a chance to see when Montreal came and played Guelph a calendar year ago. Guelph being the Vanier,
even physically, they have such big boys. But Laval, what a university football program they have there, and they snuck by. The game was played in Hamilton.
Yes, it was
at Tim Hortons Field, and they snuck by the University of Calgary Dinos. Of course, we're pulling for Queens and Guelph and Western and some of our other Windsor. Even though I don't see Windsor going to the Vanier Cup in a while, Pete. Sorry to rain on your parade there.
Although, did you hear that the University of Windsor has just approved a $76 million new athletic facility? Just got approved this week. It's going to be very exciting.
Oh, that's great. I know we've been down to Guelph quite a bit, and we've seen the improvements they've made to their facilities, and it's really incredible. Pete, also great Grey Cup game on the weekend. I only caught... last part of the third and the fourth quarter, and, of course, overtime. And, boy, the Stampeders were heavy favorites. And the Ottawa Redblacks, what a thrilling victory in overtime. I thought they blew it.
Burris, I'll tell you.
But really 41 years of age and just a class act, too. And, boy, I'm sure Ottawa's really celebrating today.
I'm glad I didn't wait. You know what? I would have bet heavily. I would have bet your brand new Lincoln that Calgary would have won that Grey Cup. But
for sure,
goodness, that's why you play the game.
Pete, I've said it before, and I'm sure some people will strongly disagree with me. I like 3-down football. I wish the National Football League was 3-down football. The game just moves more quickly. The turnover is very quick. You have 2 or 3. Say you have 3 minutes left in a game. I mean, you know what's happening in the NFL. People are just killing the clock, using their timeouts, running the ball, staying in bounds. Where in 3-down football, you get a stop on first down, and all of a sudden, look out, scout, that ball's going to be turned over quickly. And I don't know, that's why I like university football so much. 3-down football is exciting.
I got to agree with you because the coach of the year this year in the OUA, Mr. Michael Folds and his Laurier Golden Hawks, you could see that was a game at Western. What were they down? 21 points?
21 points,
with 8 minutes to go. In the NFL, it's over.
For sure. Well, 3-down football. Purists might not like that idea, but, boy, I think it would make the game more exciting. Pete, I want to talk briefly about some local things that happened this past weekend. I know high hopes for the AA girls basketball team here in Wallaceburg, the Tartans, just lost a squeaker 44-43 in the OFSA AA finals. And, actually they lost in the quarterfinals. That was held down in Essex. That's unfortunate. They were a great team. CKSS Golden Hawks volleyball, that's OFSA AAA, and we know the Hawks are a force and likely have the most celebrated record in local volleyball lore around here. Anyways, they were ousted in the consolation quarterfinals. of their provincial meet, and that was unfortunate. But I really want to give kudos today to Rob McLaughlin and the Wallsburg Tartans. Here they are, a double-A school. They play locally in the Football League, which is everybody else's triple-A. And they lost here in Wallsburg on the weekend to Tecumseh Lesueur, 21-0. That Tecumseh team is a juggernaut, one of the best in the province. Mm-hmm. And, the Tartans hadn't played in 3 weeks, but I really give Rob McLaughlin and the Tartans full marks for just a great effort and great defensive stand there. But unfortunately, none of those local teams will be bringing home any medals in those OFSA finals.
But you know what? They represent our community so well, and we're so fortunate because those teams that you just mentioned generally enjoy so much success.
For sure.
Bringing back medals and that, but they're there, they compete well, and they do Chatham-Kent proud.
Well, an OFSA medal is just worth so much in my mind. It's so hard to win an OFSA medal, and every year we usually have someone capturing one. Not this year, but we'll wait for next year. Pete, I'm really pumped and excited to talk a little bit about the Las Vegas hockey team.
The Golden Knights?
The Golden Knights. I thought they should have went with the name the Aces or something like that, but again, no one called me on it. I'm still hurting a bit because I was hoping
Saturday night.
Yeah, no, that was another problem. I was hoping, of course, for hockey to return to Quebec and the Quebec Nordiques.
Oh man!
However, I'll get over it. But of course, this June they'll have that expansion draft in Las Vegas, and the Vegas Golden Knights will be choosing 30 players, and this is going to be interesting because each team can only protect one goalie.
Yeah.
7 forwards and 3 defensemen. Now, there are some exemptions. Players who have no movement clause in their contract can't be let go. And first and second round year pros can be protected, which is very big for Toronto, for example. Mitch Marner, they don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
He's a first year pro. But if you think
Matthews
about it,
too,
Austin Matthews. If you think about it, though, you only can protect one goalie. If you're looking ahead, you can really see a dilemma, for example, for the Detroit Red Wings. They have 2 goalies playing pretty well equally. Each seem to go on a 4-game streak here or whatever. But, boy, that is going to be some exciting time. And I really feel Las Vegas is really going to get a tremendous jump in NHL hockey. And their GM and ownership team has said, we want to be in the Stanley Cup Finals in 6 years. That's their plan. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I didn't see the presentation, but our own Jay Smith, the host of Weekdays, and he's the play-by-play guy, and what a job he does here at the Mighty XS and for those games that we call for the PGHL. He said really the introduction of everything and that was kind of a video debacle. There were some technical issues and
really,
guys were stuttering and stammering, and it just didn't go over. The production did not go over well at all. So I didn't see it, but this was he was explaining to me.
Well, we're biased, but hockey in, of course, Canada, out in Calgary, in Edmonton, in Toronto, Montreal, I mean, it's magical. And to get another team in Canada would have been fantastic. Even Winnipeg. Look how Winnipeg came back into the league. Just guns a-blazing. Yeah. Just such energy in Winnipeg. You have to worry about Vegas, or I do, and even what kind of fan base are they going to have? Now, if I go to Vegas, I have to admit, I'm going to look and see if there's a game, and I'm going to go to a game.
Yeah.
But in terms of a excited fan base that's really into hockey, I don't know. I just don't see it.
Well, and I also say you see these teams, expansion teams that come in, as you mentioned, guns ablaze. They're fired up. They got that first year you can't get a ticket. What are they like 5 years from now? What's that stadium like? Yeah, I've got all these corporate boxes and seats, and are you just giving them to people? And are there going to be people going and sitting in them? That's a great point. What person in Las Vegas, Nevada, that resides in that city is going to say, oh, I got season tickets. I'm going to be going to every game.
For sure. And I don't know if there's a lot of transplants down there and people from the north that, I mean, in Florida, we know there is, for example. But yeah, it's an interesting, it's likely, I think it's a business decision they likely made, the NHL, when they took them to Vegas. But the Golden Knights will be the new team. Well, Pete, we better take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk briefly a little Junior A and Junior B hockey. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to CK Sports Talk with 99.1 CKXS. To submit your local sports news, info, or score, email news@ckxsfm.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. CK Sports Talk. My name's Peter Cobb, the Wizard from Wallaceburg. This is our hockey show, and we're going to take a look at Junior A, Junior B, the PGHL, and then finish with the NHL. So
for sure, Pete.
What do you want to start with?
Well,
Mr.
I want to
Moynihan?
start with Junior A hockey. I love Junior A hockey. Of course, Junior A hockey culminates with the Memorial Cup. It's going to be in Windsor this year, May 19th to the 28th, around there. I just love that Memorial Cup, Pete. You get teams coming from out west. You get the Quebec Major League coming in, Junior League. Really exciting stuff.
Well, and you know what? We're so lucky, too. You look around. We've got Windsor, Sarnia, and London all around us, and we can attend all of these games. You know what's something that really stands out about Junior A hockey? Just taking a look here at the conference standings, Shawn. Boy, that Western Conference, there are some tough, gritty teams there compared to the Eastern Conference.
Well, for sure, Pete, and I think it's who's who in the especially the Midwest. There, you have London, Erie, and Kitchener, all with London has 18 wins. London's 18-3, and they're the perennial class of that league, whether you like it or not. They're the Dallas Cowboys of Junior A hockey. They are just in a class of their own. But boy, the Erie Otters are 18-5, and the Kitchener Rangers are 16-8, and that's going to be a dogfight to the very end, and that playoff run is going to be crazy. But you know, a lot of people are talking about Sault Ste. Marie and Windsor. Windsor's going to get a spot in the Memorial Cup because they are hosting.
That's right.
And they have, Pete, they're 16-4-4 thus far this year. No slouches there. It's just going to be a great race in the O.
Well, look at these stats, too. The London Knights, Shawn, have scored 114 goals and allowed 67. In the conference standings, the Sioux Greyhounds, even though they only have 37 points, only 37, they have 101 goals for and 82 against. The Erie Otters, with 38 points, they have 113 goals for and 74 against. And then you go to those Spitfires, and they're 84 goals for and 66 against. Yet, like you said, they've got 36 wins, which tells me they're getting some solid goaltending.
Well, and Pete, in the O, it's all about goals against, if you ask me. I mean, the puck flies in the O. Let's face it, any given night the games are 7-5, 8-6. But you look at Windsor, they've only given up 66 goals, which is pretty incredible. But that's just gonna be a fantastic race. I'm trying to think. I don't think they finish till late April in that,
yeah.
and it just seems to go on forever. But you know, I love and I haven't been yet this year, Pete, going down to a game at the Budweiser Gardens in London. You know, they pack in 7,000 to 9,000 people a night there. It's just incredible.
It really is, and it's what a location, right? The arena is right downtown. It's fabulous. In fact, we're going to have to ask our boss whether he can send us on special media pass assignments during the Memorial Cup in Windsor and get some reports from down there.
Well, I did a little bit of reading on this, Pete, and checked it out. First of all, you got to buy a full package to the Memorial Cup. It's in the regular bowl there, regular seating, $595, and that's the 8 games for the Memorial Cup. So we will have to talk to the boss, and as we said, that's May 19th to the 28th, and
well, if you're a retired
be
principal,
special.
you can afford those things. But if you're just a retired teacher, that's it.
Quit. I can't afford anything. But anyways, the Junior A hockey is alive and well, and it looks like everyone's going to be chasing the London Knights, but look out for Erie and Kitchener. Don't cut out the Sault Ste. Marie. I love their uniforms, by the way, Pete. Those red and white uniforms with the big greyhound on them. And, of course, the Spitfires who are going to get a pass to that Memorial Cup.
Now, take a look over in the Eastern Conference, Shawn. The top team are the Oshawa Generals, and they're 16-7. 88 goals for, 77 against. The North Bay Battalion are second, not point-wise, right? They
but
got
in the
28
Central
points.
Division.
In the Central Division, 13-11. They've scored 85 goals. They've allowed 100.
Yeah, it's really the weak sister there, the Central Division, and everyone is just sort of hovering around 500. But, boy, you know, the thing, and I'll go back to the Knights, Pete, they seem to lose a couple of megastars every year. Well, Marner, Tkachuk this year, both now thriving in the NHL, and they just seem to reload, and boy, what a franchise. And, you know, there many, many years ago, there was a discussion that the Hunter boys were going to bring that franchise to Chatham. And something, of course, went awry, and they built a new arena downtown, and we missed out on the London Knights. But as always, Junior A hockey, really exciting. What about the Junior B ranks, Peter? Of course, our Chatham Maroons got off to a bit of a slow start, but I give them full kudos. New coaching staff there.
Yeah.
I think they won last night 5-2 over the St. Mary Lincolns. They're right in the thick of things.
Yeah, they're 16-6, Shawn, sitting in third place, 6 points behind first place LaSalle.
Yeah, LaSalle's 18-3 with 39 points. I mean, that season, Pete, goes to February 24th. You know, those kids, that's 25 weeks of hockey, half a year of hockey. So that, you know, anything can still happen yet. We're only about a third of the way through. But, you know, LaSalle, London, Chatham, Leamington, Sarnia, all very close. So that's, and we've seen it in the past, Pete, where anything can happen come playoff time in Junior B hockey.
Oh, man. You know, Shawn, can you imagine you're a fan of hockey and you're living in London? You go see the Knights, who are in first place, and the London Nationals are 18-6-1.
For
They're
sure.
Junior B club. So you go see, you're used to seeing winning hockey in that
and
city.
And if you really don't have much to do with your life, you can also slide up to Dorchester, a stone's throw away, and I think Dorchester, and we're going to talk about them in a few minutes, are 20-0. So great hockey in that London area. But the Maroons getting good crowds playing there on Sunday night in Chatham. As I said, a bit of a slow start, but they seem to have really righted that ship. And Pete, that's going to go right down to the very end, and look out, scout, come playoff time.
Well, and you know what happens, there are three divisions. They have the Golden Horseshoe Conference, the Midwestern Conference, and then the Western Conference. Caledonia leads the Golden Horseshoe at 24-3. And you talk about a juggernaut, Shawn. 169 goals for, 61 against, 49 points. Listowel. Been a long time since Listowel has been.
I was going to say, we don't hear of what's the name of the Listowel team? Do you know, Pete?
I don't, but you know what? If I do this and click on that Listowel link, let's see what happens.
We're going to get you the official name of the Listowel team,
the Cyclones.
The Cyclones from Listowel, who have really made a mark. Well, Caledonia last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, I don't think they lost a playoff game. It was an incredible record. I think the final game they won to clinch everything, they actually won in overtime.
No kidding.
And, I mean, they did away with a number of great teams last year. And, boy, that team is just, I don't know what their secret is. I've never seen them play, but my nerves, Caledonia is such a juggernaut.
Well, I think when they get down to the Sutherland Cup, they have kind of like a three-way playoff. Everybody plays everybody once or twice, and then the top two teams battle it out. Best 4 out of 7 for the Sutherland Cup. I think one of the big news also, we were always so used to seeing the Stratford Culletons, on a top notch. Now this year, looking at them, they're less than middle of the pack, and I think it's because they're no longer the Culletons.
They're the Warriors now, are they not?
Now,
yes. Yeah, it's funny. Culleton, of course, was a sponsorship there for them for years, and I guess that didn't happen this year, and they changed their name. And it just doesn't seem right, does it?
No, and that's back when in fact, the year the Chatham Maroons won the Sutherland Cup, they won Game 7 in Stratford to bring home that cup. That was exciting
Fantastic.
time.
Well, it'd be great for Chatham to get back to that Sutherland Cup. But Pete, we better take another break. When we come back, let's talk a little Junior C hockey and a little NHL hockey. We'll be right back.
Because local does matter. This is CK Sports Talk on 99.1 CKXS.
All right, folks, welcome back. Peter Cobb, the wizard from Wallaceburg, Shawn Patrick Moynihan. Hope you're enjoying the hockey show. And now one of the divisions in hockey that you and I have just fallen in love with, the PGHL. It used to be known as Junior C hockey.
Right.
But how lucky we are to have, we got Wallaceburg, Dresden, and Blenheim. And I'm telling you, I get goosebumps. Especially we were in the building one night when Blenheim and Dresden had such a great playoff run last year.
For sure.
Good
And you
gracious.
recently did a game with Jay Smith out in Dresden, I believe,
Yes.
for that incredible series there, Blenheim and Dresden.
It was 4-1 for Blenheim, Shawn, and I thought, oh my! And then all of a sudden, the Junior Kings and the line of lines, Ritzer, Holmes. Now Liberty wasn't in the lineup that night, but boy, there's something to watch.
Yeah.
And,
Well, Pete, we started this year talking a little bit about hockey. We have had management in from Wallaceburg, Blenheim, and Dresden, all talking about the upcoming year. I know we talked to the new team here in Wallaceburg and their head coach, Joe Burney. And I know there was some great enthusiasm, and they were trying to bring a new order and just some new energy to that team. And I remember the very first game of the year for Wallaceburg. They scored the first 2 goals of the year.
We called the game. Jay Smith and I called it.
And unfortunately, things just haven't gone, well for them. I think they've played 21 games thus far. They're 1-19-1. They have 3 points. What's getting a little bit scary, Pete, is there's 9 teams in that league. And, of course, only one team does not qualify for the playoffs. And we were very hopeful that Wallaceburg would make it into the playoffs. That'd be a great game. Well, I think the team ahead of them has correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's Petrolia, and they have 10 points, I think.
They do.
And already this early in the season, that's going to be a tough mountain to climb. And I know Wallaceburg lost, I think, last night 10-4. Either last night or Saturday night to Blenheim, 10-4 in Blenheim, and I'm just worried about that team.
You know what? Again, we pull for them. I mean, we're the mighty XS. We're in Wallaceburg, Ontario. We pull for Wallaceburg. We want to see them. And you know what? And this is in all honesty and truthfulness. The president over there and the GM, Mr. Batter and Mr. Cameron and Wayne Cowell over in Blenheim, they want to see Wallaceburg do well because it helps fill their barn when these 2 teams get together. So,
And, Wallaceburg, Pete, Blenheim is off to a great start. They played 25 games already. They're 15-8-2. Now, they just went through a bit of a low stint there, and they lost 3 games or so, but they're still sitting atop with 32 points. And Dresden, which I think is better than their record stands right now. They've played 23 games. They're 10-12-1, sitting with 21 points, right in the middle of the pack. I just expect them to do a little bit better. I think they're better than that record too, Pete. Your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, and I'm going to tell you this. I would not want to have to play the Dresden Junior Kings in any round in the playoffs because Joel Sawinski is now back and healthy and playing net for them, and this team can score goals, Shawn. Coach Van der Wright, I had a nice chat with him prior to the game and how excited he was after that big comeback victory against the Blades. And he says, you know what, if our guys come out consistently each night and believe in our system, we're going to have a chance to win hockey games. And you and I saw last year, the Dresden Junior Kings came within a crossbar in overtime of ending that series or
getting in the driver's seat anyways.
Yes, and it would have, it's just, I agree.
Well, it's exciting hockey, Pete, but Lakeshore is playing very well, 15-5. They have 30 points already this year. Amherstburg
just beat Lakeshore last night
and had a tremendous run last year in the playoffs. In fact, that was one heck of a dogfight with Essex. Amherstburg's 15-8, And I see Essex, and you can never count out Essex.
They've only got 5 losses, but they've only played 20 games, Shawn.
Yeah,
5 less than the Blades.
Yeah, it seems odd, doesn't it? They're 14-5-1, But that's going to be a great race, and we encourage everyone to get out to see Junior C hockey. And I know you and I are doing a game. We're filling in for the station.
28th of December,
the 28th of December in Wallaceburg in the old barn. So we're looking forward to that. And I wanted to mention, Pete, over in the Yek division.
Oh my.
Dorchester's off to a 20-0 start, and I know they're high on that team. I know Jay Ritchie, Chatham kid. We know his mom well. Nicky Ritchie plays on that team, and I think he's like 4th in scoring in the league with 39 points. So I wanted to do a nice shout-out to the great Jay Ritchie and his family.
Well, Shawn, that Dorchester club, what's impressive, like you said, they're 20-0. They have 119 goals for, 38 against. They're 13-0 on the road. So they still have 6 more home games. They're 7-0 at home. 6 more home games to make up. And if I could just comment back on the Blenheim situation, they purposely overloaded the first half of their season with games because they're going to get a real nice 2-week break here at Christmas. They've had a bunch of guys that were at school, et cetera, and they wanted to get that kind of clean. So I expect Blenheim to come back even after this 2-week break at Christmas. They're going to literally, I think, go 2 weeks without playing a game. Now, we'll see if that helps or hurts. So you can get everybody healthy. That's one thing for sure. But
Pete, let's face it, we'll be talking a lot more junior hockey as our show goes on and as the year winds down. But boy, come those final 5 or 6 games, then ultimately playoff time, it's going to be incredible.
There's one more thing I want to flip to, Shawn, and just give me a second here. That is the Eastern Conference, and Wallaceburg need not fear because the team from Campbellford, PGHL team, 0-18, and they've scored 31 goals and allowed 129.
Oh, my.
So Campbellford has not seen even a victory.
I wish they were in our division here.
Yes.
Well, again, I'll just finish with my thought. I'm really hoping the Lakers can grab that final playoff spot. They have 3 points. Ahead of them is Petrolia with 10. Hopefully they can make that up. Pete, let's talk a little NHL hockey. We love it. We watch it regularly. It's something great about in this modern day. We can go home tonight and at 10:30 find a game somewhere.
Absolutely.
In fact, if those people listening tonight, I think we have Calgary and the Islanders tonight, so we can see the great T.J. Brody.
Who scored his first goal against the Flyers last night, I believe.
So a loss, but still.
TJ on the board.
Pete, some great stories. And at the end of our show tonight, we're going to talk about a few dark horses that who we think maybe just might surprise people this year in NHL hockey. I wanted to start, though, with I just love this story. Craig Anderson of the Ottawa Senators, a goaltender. Wife is suffering, going through cancer treatment right now. The team is really gathered around him, and they speak so highly of this guy, and he's such a champion. Anyways, he has 3 shutouts now. Ottawa's just grabbed 4 straight victories. They beat the New York Rangers the other night 2-0, and just such a great story. And I also wanted to mention Travis Konechny from Clacton, Ontario. You and I saw him play last year in Windsor. He was with the Sting at the time, and he was, without a doubt, the best player on the ice that day, I felt. The energy and the speed, and he just owned the ice when we saw him play. Of course, everyone, he's stuck with the Philadelphia Flyers. I read some of their blogs and their webpage. People in Philadelphia, writers, players, fans are loving this kid. The other night, one of his teammates gets boarded and gets just crunched. And who comes to the rescue? Travis, the 19-year-old, dropped the gloves and took somebody on, just to the delight of his team. But they say he is a quiet, non-assuming kid who's just gone there and worked his heart out. And it's great to see Travis having such success down in Philadelphia.
Without a doubt. And you mentioned he's from Clacton. His first cousin is Bo Horvat. And, you know, I've got a connection, Shawn. Jay Kelly, who works at Victory Ford, tunes us in regularly. Jay knows the family very well. And I said, listen, your mission this summer is to make sure we get Mr. Horvat and Konechny on CK Sports Talk.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I really admire Travis because, you know, they've always said he's not the biggest kid, but he plays so aggressively, and I just love the way that kid plays. And, you know, Pete, the Oilers right off the bat this year, McDavid, Shawn, and we're going to talk about the standings in a few moments, but, God, the Oilers are in first place in their division. And the Leafs, you know, we a number of shows before, someone mentioned on our show, okay, it was me, I wonder if the Leafs will be keeping Mitch Marner or if they'll be shipping him back to junior hockey.
You wouldn't do that to the Rookie of the Year, would you?
Well, I'll tell you what, his skill set has just absolutely blossomed in the NHL. I thought he would get crunched. I thought he wouldn't have so much ice as he seems to get. And, oh, my God, does it look like the Maple Leafs have a keeper there.
A nice little line in Van Riemsdyk, Bozak, and Marner. They click well together. They're exciting. Listen, everybody knows I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. And I said a long time ago that this team isn't going to make the playoffs this year. They're still a couple of years away. But I'm going to tell you this, that the Toronto Maple Leafs are fun to watch. And they've got some exciting young players. And
well, I'll give you this. They're more fun to watch than they were last year. Okay. I mean, that's all I'm going to give you. But if we take a look at the standings in the NHL, and you know, there's 30 teams. Doing some research, I didn't realize for some reason I thought there was only like 26 or 20. There are 30 teams in the NHL. The Canadians are off with the best record in the NHL right now. They have 34 points. Why do I feel, Pete, and I know there's a lot of diehard Montreal Canadian fans out there, I know it's all about Carey Price, but I just wonder if the Canadians are going to score enough goals, have enough offensive firepower. God help the Montreal Canadiens if one Carey Price goes down.
Well, if they play, yeah, that's true, and we saw that last year, but if they play every game at home, they're 12-1-1 at home, and they're 4-3-1 on the road. They've got 67 goals for and 48 against.
Yeah.
So,
well, it just seems that when Carey Price is in that net, something happens to the Montreal Canadiens, Pete. And, you know, we take a look, the New York Rangers, they had a tremendous start this year, Pete. They have 31 points. They're 15-7. I think they won their first 9 games at home. Mm-hmm. Since then, they've struggled a bit at home. I think they've lost their last 3, getting beaten by the aforementioned Ottawa Senators. They're off to a good start. Of course, the Penguins are off to a good start. And we're going to talk more about the playoff run that the Pittsburgh Penguins had in a few minutes, but they're sitting there with their 13-6, 29 points. And over on the other side, over to the west, Pete, I see the Blackhawks have quietly jumped out, 31 points, 14-6 win-loss record. Really seem to be the old Blackhawks of yore that captured a number of Stanley Cups a few years ago.
Well, and they've just got, again, so much firepower, and they've got a player on their team by the name of Jonathan Toews, who I think he just emulates to me what a captain of a hockey club should be. I know they got Patty Kane too, who, you know, he's like you, a wizard with the puck. But Jonathan Toews to me, and they got good solid goaltending too. And
they've got a
coach
couple,
isn't too bad either.
Yeah, they got a couple horses on defense too, Pete. But
Keith and
Jonathan Toews, we know when it comes playoff time in the NHL, it's just different hockey, I feel. And someone like Toews can just take a game over. He is just a perfect player for NHL playoff hockey. Good good at both ends of the ice, of course, as their captain, but good in the face-off circle. And boy, I think look out, the Hawks are going to be someone we need to talk about. But you know, Pete, I just happened to be looking in popped up the 2015-16 NHL playoff board, and I got looking at it. And, of course, last year we know Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup. Tremendous run by Sidney Crosby. Kudos to them. They played tremendously. Rookie goaltender. Everything went right. But if you look who Pittsburgh had to beat last year, they beat the New York Rangers. They beat the Washington Capitals. And then they disposed of the Tampa Bay Lightning on their route to the Stanley Cup. 3 pretty tough teams, if you ask me. And back to the other side, of course, the San Jose Sharks made that tremendous run to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. They beat LA, they beat Dallas, and they beat St. Louis. And it's something to think about this year, and I think in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Eliminated last year very quickly. Chicago Blackhawks eliminated the first round. If you recall, Ken Hitchcock and the St. Louis Blues whacked them. That was a 4-3 series win, and Chicago was out. And last year, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks and the LA Kings were knocked out first round. You got to ask yourselves, does that give those teams a little bit more in the tank to come back with this year? But anyways, we will see. And, come playoff time, 16 teams qualify.
We'll be watching, what?
Top 3 in each division for 12, and then 4 wild cards, two in each division make it. And it's the $1 million question tonight, Pete. Will the Toronto Maple Leafs, will the Detroit Red Wings have a playoff position come that magic time we call the Stanley Cup playoffs?
No and no.
Yeah, and it's rare that I agree with you on all fronts. But I agree with you. Last year we did not have a Canadian team make it into the playoffs. This year you have to assume Montreal. I'm pulling for Ottawa, and Ottawa's off to a great start. I think they have 29 points already. They're 14-7-1, and so we will have some Canadian teams make the playoffs. But I'm worried about our Maple Leafs and our Red Wings. Pete, we better take a break because that's choking me up to think that the Red Wings will not be with us in the playoffs. Let's take a short break and come back with some dark horse picks and to wrap up the program.
Welcome back to CK Sports Talk with 99.1 CKXS. To submit your local sports news, info, or score, email news@ckxsfm.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. Peter Cobb, Shawn Moynihan, CK Sports Talk. We've discussed everything in hockey, Mr. Moynihan. We sent a memo out to the staff. Most of the people responded. I do have to send an apology to Chris Summerfield. He was the very first guy to respond. He's one of our top sales guys here at the Mighty XS. And I could not find the email telling me his predictions, but we'll leave a little chart on the wall for everybody to write them down.
Yeah, and we'll revisit next week too, of course. But yeah, we've had some interesting picks from the people. We asked just Pete, who's your dark horse? Maybe not necessarily going to win it all, but who's going to maybe rise up this year and make it into the playoffs? Maybe somebody you don't really expect. Maybe a dark horse you should look for. Who are you thinking about? I know who you're thinking about.
I'm going to go. You want me to give you some of these
Absolutely.
Folks? Okay. Our morning show crew, the Heater and Gemma, do an outstanding job every morning here on the Mighty XS 99.1. Tune them in. Both say the dark horse, the team to watch, Mitch Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Very disappointed. They must have answered that at 5:30 in the morning when they were still groggy.
All right, Jay Smith, the master of weekdays and play-by-play guru. He said, he's got his eye on the Leafs, but he's wondering about maybe Columbus and Minnesota in each of those as dark horses to watch out for. My son-in-law, Cam McEwen, now he says his dark horse is Montreal. I said, how can they be a dark horse when they're in first place? So, I'm going to have to give him, Cam. Yeah. Well, he's an Eagles fan, too.
Yeah, nice.
Although we will be cheering for those Eagles tonight as they take on the Green Bay
Packers, of course.
My dark horse is the Minnesota Wild. I think they got goaltending. They play a great defensive style, and they can keep games tight, 3-2, 4-3. That's
You
the
know,
dark
and I
horse.
don't think many people would know this. I think, and I don't think I'm incorrect. I think Minnesota leads the league in the most consecutive sellouts. Like the place in Minnesota, I guess, is just bananas for hockey. Needless to say, but yeah, Minnesota always seems to be there, but falls off. And is there? I think their goaltending right now is Dubnyk. I think
Yeah.
he's leading them, and he was a bum last year, and traded for 2 hockey sticks and a pair of skates, and that's really interesting, Pete. Well,
You got
I got a couple
Lee
here.
Marshall over there too, don't you?
We have Lee Marshall, and Lee's already picking Chicago and Washington in the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is not a bad choice.
Right.
But Lee's picking the Columbus Blue Jackets as his dark horse. You know, I am going to go with the Ottawa Senators. I don't have a good reason why. I just feel it. They've played. They had a slow start. They're off to a good run right now. We mentioned it earlier in the show. They're not scoring a lot of goals, and that's always worrisome. But I'm really pulling for the Ottawa Senators. Another dark horse I want to mention, though, is the New York Rangers. They're a team like the Minnesota Wild. They seem to be in it. They seem to have firepower, and something happens come playoff time. Of course, they will have to go through Pittsburgh and Washington, but those are the 2 teams I want to mention. And I also want to mention, I was talking to Grace Cunha this past week. Tremendous teacher, French teacher here in Wahlsburg at Christ the King School and St. Elizabeth School. And her dark horse, she was going to go with Portugal. I said, Grace, I know you're a big soccer fan. Portugal does not have an NHL team yet, even though I'd be willing to at least move it from Vegas to Portugal.
I agree.
But anyway, she says no. She says the team she's going to pull for, and her dark horse will be the Detroit Red Wings. And what about the great Chris Taylor, 12 times
Volunteer of the Year.
Volunteer of the Year. He went with the LA Kings. And we had Dave Torrey on the show, pro scout for the Kings, and he told us, look out, they have great goaltending, and they have Drew Doughty, big London kid, big horse on defense. So, Chris, pretty smart pick on your part. But we'll see, Pete, as the season unfolds here, and we'll get some future picks for Stanley Cup Finals, and looking forward to a great hockey season.
Right on. And how about some shout-outs tonight, sir?
Well, I just mentioned Grace Cunha. I'd want to say hello to Grace. I know she's listening in tonight, and just one of my favorite all-time teachers. Of course, she, as I mentioned, loves Portugal, but hello to Grace. And, you know, Victory Ford Lincoln, I know you're going to mention them a little later. I know Victory Ford sponsors our show. Sparky's pick, dark horses, the Red Wings. And we'll leave it at that. And also I want to mention Dave Cameron, president of the Junior Kings. We were out to their fundraiser on the weekend, had a tremendous time, and I just saw how hard Dave and his crew was working to promote junior hockey. Made a beautiful speech on getting the community together and raising money. So kudos to Dave Cameron and the Junior Kings for a tremendous party and dance and dinner on Saturday night.
Yeah, you can't beat it when they get the O'Hare brothers there, too. Aren't they outstanding? Well, you took one of my shout-outs. It was going to be to Dave Cameron and his crew, Rick Zavitz and Mr. Batter over there, the GM, and the whole Junior King staff, as you mentioned. But I'm going to give a special shout-out, a double shout-out to one Don Sparky Leonard. We were hurting for a vehicle today. Mrs. Cobb got called in to supply teach. And Victory Ford, he provided, I do some volunteer cancer run drives. He provided a vehicle for me to take a client down to London and back. That tells you the kind of guy that Don Leonard is, and helped
Tremendous community guy, and very appreciative of Victory Ford and the Sparkster.
All right. Well, folks, we will see you for sure next week. So on that note, for my partner in crime, the wizard from Wallaceburg, Mr. Shawn Patrick Moynihan. For our producer, Mr. Corey North, who will be heading south to Ridgetown, that is. And for 12-time Volunteer of the Year for filming tonight's broadcast, Mr. Chris Taylor. My name is Peter Cobb, saying so long.
Thanks for listening to CK Sports Talk. Tonight's show is brought to you by Canada Business Services, the Chatham-Kent Sports Network, and 99.1 CKXS. For more local sports news and information, log on to the Chatham-Kent Sports Network at cksn.ca.